All right, so you're here with us on the deep dive because, well, let's be honest, you want to get in the know fast, right? On stuff that matters. Today, it's all about competitive bodybuilding. And yeah, you might think it's just all, muscles and flexing, but trust me, there's a whole lot more to it.
The whole world unto itself, really.
Exactly. You mentioned wanting to really get what makes these competitions, well, tick. So we've got just the thing for you. The Bodybuilding Competition Guide, straight from the International Association of Resistance Trainers.
Think of it as your all-access pass to the ins and outs, from weigh-ins to those final moments under the spotlight.
And our goal today is to give you those key insights. Different categories, how the heck the judging works, posing, tanning, even what they wear. We're going deep, but we'll keep it clear. No jargon overload, promise.
Absolutely. We'll break it down so you can really grasp the essentials.
Perfect. So first things first, you got to understand, it's not just about being big, right? There's a whole system of categories and rules.
Like a framework, yeah.
So let's start with weight classes. The IFBB, they lay it out pretty clearly. For senior men, you've got divisions all the way from bantamweight up to, you guessed it, heavyweight.
For the women, it's lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight.
Now here's where it gets interesting for you. Juniors, those under 21, their categories are a bit different. And then you've got the masters, 40 and over for men and 35 and over for women.
With just one open category for the master women.
Right. And then there's the mixed pairs, which is also an open category. But here's the thing. While the IFBB provides these guidelines, each competition promoter, they get to specify the exact divisions on their entry forms.
So if you're thinking of competing, that form is your Bible.
Exactly. And remember, procedures, they can vary a bit depending on the level of the competition. So always, always double check. Now, age categories, those seem pretty straightforward, right?
Definitely. If you're a junior or a master competitor, you'll need to bring proof of age, though. A birth certificate, driver's license, something official.
Makes sense. And the senior category, that's open to everyone, but as the guide points out, that's where you'll usually find the, I guess, most seasoned competitors.
Yeah, think of it as the big leagues. Juniors and masters might find it a real uphill battle there, depending on their training.
Okay, so you're thinking of competing. First hurdle, the weigh-in.
Imagine stepping on the scale at the doctor's office, but with a lot less clothes on.
Posing trunks or a bikini is the uniform. Usually this happens the morning of the competition, but for really large events, it might even be the day before.
It's more than just about confirming your weight class, though. It's part of registration, your final commitment to compete.
And here's something that might surprise you. The guide mentions bringing your membership card and your posing music on a cassette tape.
Yeah, that part definitely shows how much things have changed since this guide was first published.
But hey, the core idea is the same. Be prepared. Have your documents, have your music ready, just maybe not on a cassette these days.
Right. Whatever format they ask for, be ready.
All right, so you've got the categories, the weigh-in. Now let's get to the actual competition. The guide gives you a pretty standard structure, but it stresses something very important.
Always check with the organization hosting the event for the most up-to-date rules.
They might have some specific quirks or changes.
Exactly.
So big question for aspiring competitors, what are the judges looking at? How do they decide who wins? The guide breaks it down into 7 key areas: muscularity, definition, symmetry, proportion, balance, shape, and mass. It's a whole package deal.
Look, work of art, in a way. But instead of paint and canvas, it's muscle and, well, more muscle.
So walk us through those areas. What does each one really mean for a competitor?
Okay, so muscularity, that's pretty straightforward. It's about having well-developed muscles, obviously, low body fat, and clear separation between muscle groups. Definition is about how lean you are. You can see the details of the muscles, every striation, every fiber. Symmetry is how balanced the left and right sides of your body look. Proportion is about how the size of individual muscles relate to each other. Not too big here, not too small there. Balance is similar, but it's about the overall harmony between your upper and lower body. Shape, that's more about your natural genetics, like wide shoulders, narrow waist. And mass, well, that's just the total amount of muscle you've got.
So it's not just about being huge.
Not at all. It's about the total package, a blend of all these elements.
Gotcha. So the pre-judging, or round 1, usually happens in the morning. It starts with what they call a preliminary assessment. Everyone in the weight class comes out and, get this, just stands relaxed. Facing front, then back.
It's the judge's first look, their chance to get an overall impression. But that relaxed standing, it's not as easy as it sounds.
Right, because they're still on stage, under scrutiny.
Exactly. The guide actually gives very specific instructions on what stand relaxed really means. It involves spreading your lats a bit, keeping some tension in the arms and shoulders, a slight vacuum in your abs, and keeping your quads and calves flexed, but with your knees unlocked. It can be surprisingly tiring holding that pose for 20 minutes or more.
Then comes Heat 1, which is free posing. This is where each competitor gets their solo moment, 60 to 90 seconds, to showcase their physique, set to their own music.
This part's worth slightly fewer points than the compulsory poses, but it can be the tiebreaker.
Especially when competitors are pretty evenly matched.
Right. It's their chance to really highlight their strengths, maybe downplay any weaker areas through posing and choreography.
It's like their own little performance, a mini story they're telling.
Exactly. And the guide gives some great advice on structuring that story. It suggests starting with your second best pose to hook the judge's attention right away, then ending with your absolute best pose. It's like a strong opening and a powerful finale.
A good strategy.
And speaking of strategy, music choice matters too. The guide leans towards instrumentals, but a well-chosen vocal track can also work well.
As long as it complements the routine, I guess.
Exactly. And ideally, look for music that builds to a climax, creates that dramatic effect.
Now, Heat 2, this is where things get more regimented. Compulsory comparisons. All competitors are back on stage, standing relaxed again. Then the head judge starts calling out groups up to 5 competitors at a time to do these specific poses. 7 for men, 5 for women.
This is where all that practice, all that dedication really shines through. These poses, they're the foundation of bodybuilding judging.
And there are specific variations for each pose.
Yeah, bet. The guide emphasizes the importance of finding what works best for your body. It's not just about copying someone else. It's about understanding those subtle adjustments you can make with your hands, arms, legs, torso to make it all flow and look amazing.
And it has to look effortless.
Absolutely. Like second nature. Smooth transitions, all the right muscles flexing at the right time. Judges are looking for that classic harmonious physique. But the guide acknowledges that a more muscular, what some might call a blocky physique, can still be a winner.
Interesting. So it's not just one ideal body type.
Right. It's about making the most of what you've got. And it's not just about the muscles either. Posture matters, so does your natural structure, even the health and appearance of your skin.
And if the competitors are really close, the judges will be looking for any tiny flaws to help them decide.
It gets that detailed, yeah.
Now, the guide gets really specific on each of these compulsory poses. For men, you've got the front double biceps, front lat spread, side chest, back double biceps, back lat spread, side triceps, and abdominal and thigh. Women do the same, minus the front and back lat spreads.
Each pose highlights specific muscle groups.
And the guide gives instructions on everything. Arm positioning, leg placement, even how to breathe and contract your abs.
It's incredibly technical. Like, for example, the front double biceps. You're not just flexing your biceps. You're thinking about the angle of your arms, how much to draw your elbows forward, whether to turn your wrists in or out, depending on the shape of your biceps.
Wow, so much to think about.
The front lat spread, that's about creating the illusion of a smaller waist. You make fists and pull them into your obliques. The side chest, you lift your chest, position your arms just right to show off your pecs and biceps. Even your legs are positioned to highlight your thighs and calves. It's a whole art form.
It's amazing how much detail goes into it.
And it keeps going. The back double biceps, you don't want to squeeze your shoulder blades too much. It can actually make your back look narrower. You tilt your forearms a bit to show off those delts and biceps from behind. The back lat spread is similar to the front, tucking your fists in to emphasize a wider back and smaller waist. Side triceps, that's all about pressing that arm against your body and positioning your other arm to highlight the shape of the triceps. And then the abdominal and thigh. You have to exhale completely, suck in your stomach, even give a little cough to get that maximum ab contraction.
It sounds exhausting.
Oh, it is. And then you extend one leg, flex it to create that contrast and show off those quads and hamstrings. And for the men, there's the classic most muscular, which has several variations to best showcase their physique.
So each pose has a specific purpose, and mastering them is key for those compulsory rounds.
Absolutely. Those rounds make up a big chunk of the total points in the competition. You need to nail them.
All right, pre-judging is done. Now it's on to the finals, which is round 2. Usually happens in the evening.
And depending on the competition, it might only include the top few from each weight class. Smaller local shows might include everyone, but bigger events, regional, national, they'll narrow it down to the top 3 to 10.
Makes sense. And the finals are more about putting on a show for the audience, right?
Definitely. Entertainment value is a big factor.
So we start with free posing again. Even though most of the judging happened in the pre-judging, the guide says a really strong free posing routine can still sway the judges, especially if the competitors are close or if there was a tie.
It's your last chance to make an impact. Show off your personality, your stage presence.
Then it's back to those compulsory poses. The top 5 contestants performing the same poses they did earlier. And here's something interesting. The rankings can still change at this point.
Yeah, if someone who was a close second comes in even more defined in the evening, or if the initial leader has lost a bit of their peak condition, it's a reminder that you need to maintain that peak throughout the entire day.
And then the moment everyone waits for, the pose down. This is the most exciting part for the audience.
It's 60 seconds of posing, less structured, with pre-selected music, mainly for entertainment and to give the scorekeepers time to do their thing.
But there's still strategy involved, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
The guide suggests having a mini routine planned out, 6 to 10 of your best poses, repeated a couple of times, ending with your absolute best. But you also have to be ready to adapt. If someone else hits a pose you were going to do, you got to switch it up.
But there's an element of improvisation, too.
Oh, yeah. And even where you stand on stage matters. Do you stand close to a rival to try and intimidate them? Or do you give the judges space to compare you side by side?
It's like a mental game as well.
Absolutely.
So after the pose down, the winners of each weight class are announced. And if you win your class, you move on to the final comparisons where all the class winners perform the compulsory poses together.
This is where the judges start comparing the best of the best to choose an overall champion.
And then one final 60-second pose down with all the class winners, leading up to the announcement of the overall champion. The guide also explains the scoring system, which is based on placement points. 1 point for first, 2 for second, and so on. Lowest score wins. And in round 1, the prejudging, the highest and lowest scores from each judge are actually thrown out to eliminate bias.
Smart system. Makes it more about the consensus among the judges.
Now, the guide also talks about couples competitions, which are a whole different ballgame. It's not just about 2 great physiques, it's about how they look together and how they perform as a unit.
Harmony is key. Do their physiques complement each other? Do they move well together? Are their posing styles similar?
So prejudging for couples, there are 3 rounds. Round 1A is the stand relaxed assessment, front and back. The judges compare the man and woman individually first, then adjust their scores based on the overall impression of the couple.
It's really about the synergy between the two. Are they greater than the sum of their parts?
Round 1B is the free posing routine, up to 2 minutes long, with music. They can incorporate some dance and gymnastics elements, but they have to show off those bodybuilding poses too.
The judges are looking at everything. Muscularity, artistry, choreography, how well they match, how smoothly they move together. It's like a beautifully choreographed dance routine with a focus on strength and physique.
And then, round 1C, the compulsory poses. The couples perform those 5 standard poses: front double biceps, side chest, back double biceps, side triceps, and abdominal and thigh. Often they'll have 2 couples performing simultaneously for direct comparison.
Again, it comes back to how well they match.
Yeah.
You don't want a bodybuilder paired with someone who's very lean or athletic. It just wouldn't look right together.
The finals for couples, it's the top 5 couples from the prejudging. They do their free posing routine again. Then all finalists do the 5 compulsory poses nonstop, one couple after the other. Judging criteria remains the same. Scoring 2, with the 2 highest and 2 lowest scores being dropped.
Consistency is crucial. You need to shine in every round.
Now, beyond just building muscle, there's an art to presenting it on stage. The guide talks about the confident poser versus the non-confident poser.
Huge difference. A confident poser owns the stage. They move freely, use gestures, make eye contact with the judges and the audience. They really connect with their music. Their transitions are smooth. Their facial expressions match their routine. They're flexible, comfortable, and they use a variety of stances and angles. A non-confident poser, they tend to stay in one spot, arms and legs close to their body, relying on just a few basic poses. They avoid eye contact, their face is usually tense or strained, they move stiffly, and they tend to stay upright the whole time.
Wow, you can really picture the difference.
It's night and day.
And the guide has some great posing tips. Watch and learn from the best. Practice breathing shallowly during transitions so you don't lose control. Keep those abs engaged. If you think you have a wider waist, use side and twisted poses to create a more tapered look. Flex at about 90% effort to keep your stamina up.
That 90% tip is gold. It's about control, not just squeezing as hard as you can.
Yeah. And remember to flex your calves, even in front poses. Don't overdo the most muscular pose unless your upper body is your strongest point. And videotape your routines. It's the best way to see what you need to work on.
Self-assessment is key. You can't improve if you don't know what needs fixing.
Okay, on to another big topic, tanning. Now, this is crucial. The guide stresses that dark skin is essential for showing muscle definition under those bright stage lights. Even if you have a darker complexion naturally, you still need to tan, but it's important to do it safely.
The guide goes into a lot of detail about the dangers of too much sun. Skin cancer, premature aging, all sorts of risks. They recommend sunscreen religiously and even have a chart for what SPF to use based on your skin type.
They also talk about safe and unsafe tanning conditions based on the UV index.
They're really comprehensive about it. It's about getting that stage-ready tan, but not at the expense of your health.
So, lots of tips on gradual exposure, timing your sunscreen, even using it on cloudy days. They also discuss tanning beds, which can be a safer option than the sun.
And they talk about tanning dyes and lotions, even tanning pills, although they do warn about potential side effects of those pills and recommend talking to a doctor first.
So, lots of options, but safety first.
Absolutely.
And then there's posing attire. The guide says to choose your trunks or bikini based on your body type and skin color, not just what's trendy. They have recommendations for different torso and leg lengths, skin tones, even hair color. Multicolored and metallic suits are a no-no.
Basic rule of thumb. Keep it simple, solid color, clean, no embellishments, let your physique do the talking.
And don't forget to attach your contestant number to the left side.
Small detail, but important.
Now, let's talk prep. The guide has a whole list of contest accessories you absolutely need. A backup posing suit, warm-up clothes, towels, posing oil, makeup for touch-ups, your music, food, water. The list goes on.
It's like packing for a very specific type of vacation.
But being prepared makes everything smoother.
Exactly. Less stress on the day of the competition.
They also recommend keeping a pre-contest journal, not just for tracking your workouts and diet, but to really reflect on your preparation. How's your tan coming along? How's your cardio? How are you feeling mentally? Anything you're learning. How's your body reacting to changes in your carbs, sodium, water?
It's a tool for self-awareness, and it helps you figure out what works best for you so you can improve next time.
And finally, contest pumping. This is a big one. The guide warns against overpumping, which can actually make you look less defined on stage.
Yeah, you can lose control and definition if you overdo it.
So they say to start pumping 5 to 10 minutes before you go on, focus on any weaker areas and be careful with the thighs. Stretch between sets, relax to maintain the pump, and they even mention using a bit of vitamin B niacin to help with blood flow.
But just a little bit. It's
Yeah.
all about finding that balance.
The guide also talks about things beyond the competition itself, like physique photography. They have tips on getting good shots. Overcast days, specific lenses and camera settings, angles, backgrounds. And for those traveling to competitions, especially across time zones, they have advice on adjusting your schedule, dealing with jet lag, and being careful about what you eat and drink, especially in other countries.
Those logistical things can make a big difference. You want to be focused on the competition, not worrying about jet lag or getting sick.
And finally, a whole bunch of miscellaneous tips. It's like a cheat sheet for competition day. Check for water retention and make sure your muscles are full. There's even a risky trick, doing a set to failure for a lagging muscle the day before the show. But they emphasize mental prep relaxation techniques. They suggest getting tested for food sensitivities that might be causing water retention. Apply your posing oil in a thin layer. For women, keep your hair short or tied back. Start hair removal early. And here's a weird one. They say to pose the day before to get a more relaxed day after look.
Sometimes those little things make all the difference.
Right. And they say a glass of wine before bed can act as a diuretic. Remember that bodybuilding burns a ton of calories, so don't starve yourself. Get to the venue early to check it out. Control your facial expressions. And don't let yourself get psyched out by the other competitors. It's a mental game as much as a physical one.
It's about staying focused and in control.
Wow, that was quite the journey into the world of competitive bodybuilding. Thanks to the International Association of Resistance Trainers for their fantastic guide. You really get a sense of the dedication, the planning, the sheer hard work that goes into this.
It's inspiring, really. So much more than just lifting weights. It's about strategy, artistry, pushing your limits.
It makes you think, right? What could we achieve in other areas of our lives if we applied this level of detail and strategy? Could we reach new heights in our personal or professional goals? It's something to ponder.
Definitely. And if this has sparked your interest even further, there are tons of resources out there. The International Association of Resistance Trainers, other bodybuilding organizations, they've got a wealth of information.
So keep exploring, keep digging deeper. Until next time on the deep dive, keep learning and keep pushing yourself.